Was that bad? Should we not have done that? This is the Jake and Joe Cincinnati Bengals post-game show presented by First Star Logistics on the First Star Logistics YouTube channel. Our excellent partners in bringing you awesome Bengals content every week and awesome giveaways every week. Today we're going to be giving away, like the Bengals gave the ball away how many times in this game? 5 fumbles. We're going to try to fumble you a Yeti tailgate pack. It's going to be great. I'm Jake. Let's go. He's Joe Goodberry. Make sure you're following us on Twitter in addition to at First Star Log for all the details about our giveaways every week. And if you're looking to partner with First Star Logistics, if you're looking for a job in the Cincinnati area, First Star Logistics is hiring. Check it all out at firststarlogistics.com for more details on how to join one of the fastest growing companies and best companies to work for in the Cincinnati area. And Joe, this might have been the worst Bengals game I have watched in my life. What do you think?
It was up there. I've remembered some pretty bad losses. I don't remember them starting to commentate on other games before. I don't know if you watched all the way through. Some people stopped watching, but like Jim Nantz and Tony Romo started just talking about other games. And so some of the comments were absolutely embarrassing because the game was embarrassing. Some of the energy you felt very quickly into the game, the lack of discipline, the lack of being able to hold on to the ball. I mean, there's a lot bad. We're going to talk about a lot of bad things. We're not, just so you know, because this is the first loss of the year. If people haven't watched us before, we don't just sugarcoat it. If it's bad, it was bad. And we're going to dump poop all over it like the Bengals did on the field. What's the opposite of sugarcoating? Is that what it is? Probably. I don't know. I'm a little hysterical right now because it probably was the worst loss I have seen, most boring game I've seen in a long time. We're talking about an offense that has barely made it through the first 2 games. And then you're like, okay, they start slow. Let's see what they can do under Jake Browning. They've done this before. Hooray. Let's do crazy football stuff. And it was none of that. It was just depressing and sad and very bland and not fun to watch at all.
You know what's crazy is they actually had a chance to make it a game before they made it very much not a game. Noah Fant, fumble 6. Incredible game for Isaiah Rodgers. But as that play was happening, I was literally writing a tweet, was seconds away from hitting send on, look, they go here, get it to a 7-point halftime score, get the ball back out of halftime, and then you have a game. Maybe they found some adjustments because it looked like they were starting to find some answers that weren't just handing the ball off for nothing on first down. And run blocking is a huge issue we're going to talk about in this game. And the defense after that first drive was playing much better. Carson Wentz was getting pressure on like half of his dropbacks. He wasn't making great decisions under pressure. The Bengals were getting sacks, and then instead of 17-10, it's 3-24. And you go back to that, was it the Jaguars game last week? Instead of 14-0, that game turns into a 7-7 game because of a red zone takeaway for the Bengals in the Bengals' favor. I said in our preview show, I thought this game could be a weird game. I didn't think it was going to get this weird. 5 fumbles for the Cincinnati Bengals, which has happened just a couple times in the last few years. I think I found in the last 4 years, only 3 other games where one team fumbled at least 5 times. The Bengals recovered just 2 of those. Again, Isaiah Rodgers, an incredible game. And then you throw on top of that, like the worst offensive line performance since I don't know when. Because like, at least in some of the bad ones in the past, there have been moments where it was kind of okay.
Because Burrow was still hitting his receivers quickly.
Well, and like the run game wasn't all negative, maybe.
Yeah.
They're early down.
As bad of a run game as we've ever seen.
I mean, unconscionably bad, to the point that like people are talking about Chase Brown's having a bad game. Like, what? Like, what do you want him to do? There's nothing to be done. The right guard couldn't run block. The center couldn't run block. The left guard couldn't run block. The left tackle couldn't run block. There's one play. We're going to look at a play immediately here.
Great. Let's do it.
This is a clip that somebody sent you.
Yeah, that's right.
That really, and that's why it's in this vertical template. That's why it's well, I mean, let's just watch the center here. Boom.
Jalen Redmond, by the way.
Jalen Redmond, who's awesome. But all right, so we got the center. Now everybody watch this left guard instead. Watch the left guard. Boom.
Right guard.
Sorry, right guard. And then we can watch the left guard too. Oh no.
Oh.
And Amarius Mims actually does okay on this play, but like when your interior offensive line, I mean the synchronized getting your head just rocked. Just like what are we doing? This is a run play. You're supposed to be getting movement, moving guys the other way, and you're getting rocked like this.
And this
Yikes.
is early in the game when they're still trying, because there was a point where everyone looked like that was it, right? And that's bad in itself. But they were trying here, and they were getting destroyed by a bunch of how many Bengals fans can name? We just named Jalen Redmond. How many of you guys can name the other guys here? Like, so did you anyone know who Isaiah Rodgers was last year or in this game? We met him last year in the Eagles game where he had a pass defense and had one of his best games. You look at PFF, he had a 90 grade in that game. So stay away from Isaiah Rodgers as much as we can. But was a case of two teams that were like, our seasons are potentially on going on different directions. We're at a fork in the road. We're either going to win this and handle this for our quarterback, or we're not. And these two teams couldn't have looked further apart.
And the concerning thing to me is this adds on to a trend for some early season, early season stuff for Ted Karras. Ted Karras had another bad game today, both phases. I worry about him. You had an injury for Dalton Reisner in this game, so you end up seeing Jalen Rivers get out there for a handful of snaps in the second half. Reisner's now got a calf issue. He was okay as a pass blocker in this game. They had issues with stunts. Again, I don't know what it is about this offense and having issues with stunts. We're now 3 offensive line coaches deep, and Orlando Brown had one of his worst pass blocking games when healthy in the last, I don't know, in his Bengals tenure. I think like he had games like this last year when he was hurt playing on a broken leg, but this is the worst he's looked in a healthy game. We think he's healthy anyway, and he was fine for the better part of the beginning of the season. But man, like offensive line issues up and down, and that's the biggest thing for me. Like people, I don't know about you, the biggest thing I saw after this game was like fire Zach, unprepared, flat, team quit, like a bunch of stuff that's like lay this at Zach Taylor's feet. What are your thoughts there? Because I can see like if this becomes a trend, yeah, sure. You can convince me of all that. But in one game, it's one game.
I think both sides of that. Like on one side, yes, it's one game. If we're grading like a quarterback or a left tackle and say they had a bad game, Zach Taylor's team looked unprepared. They don't look like they're ready. He didn't have a scheme that looked like
Let's
he
talk
could
about
win.
preparedness though, because I always have a really hard time jumping to
I do too.
preparedness instead of execution. They prepared to run the ball early in this game and get under center. They got out on the field and they could not do it. Is that a preparation issue or is that a philosophical team building issue in terms of the personnel you have available?
I think sometimes you play scissors and the other team has rock and you lose. And that's your decision to play scissors. They decided to do that. They decided to, we haven't been able to run the ball here. This is the game we're going to run it. Out of necessity on one hand, because you have to, or else you're going to have Jake Browning dropping back versus Brian Flores. And that's not going to go well. And we saw that in bits and pieces in this game. So on one hand, I get it. On the other hand, like it hasn't worked all year. Somehow the run game has gotten worse. Somehow the offensive line looks more disjointed than they have in previous years. I don't know how this happened. Like it was supposed to be at least fixed or in the right direction. They've spent premium picks on offensive line. They've got a new offensive line coach. They got rid of the run game coordinator and the guy that was always in Zach's headphones that wouldn't shut up and delay their play calls getting in and wouldn't be on the same page with Zach Taylor. All that's gone. What is the excuse now? You're worse than you've ever been in the run game, and you're not explosive. This is a team that had the least amount of explosive offensive plays in the league coming into this game, and you only got the one to Jamar late in the game. Like that, it stinks. Everything on offense right now sucks, and it doesn't look good. But when we talk about like big picture, should the fire Zach stuff, to me, I don't even think about it right now. It's week 3. Joe, is the season over? It's week 3. We're going to see a lot of things happen. There's a lot of football left to be played. It might be garbage football. We've seen that before. It might be, but there are still a lot of evaluations that have to take place. There's a lot of ebbs and flows and ups and downs. I said it's a week-to-week league because it is. We saw Jake Browning versus the Steelers twice in 2023. Look at like crap, right? Terrible. 10 points that first time out. We were like, oh, this is it. This is done. These Bengals ain't going to do anything without Joe Burrow with his wrist down. And they had fun and exciting games and finished the season off in a entertaining fashion. So Is it done? Is it over? Do we burn everything? I want to. I'm with you, but it's nonsense talk because there is so much more left to go. So much more suffering, but hopefully so much more fun too.
If you wanted me, if you wanted to argue to me that they should replace Joe Burrow, then or not Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor. I'm very all over the place. If you argued to me that you wanted to replace Zach
I was
Taylor,
ready to hear that argument though from you. I'm like, oh, Jake, where are we going with this?
yeah, no. I would totally be open to that argument because of the track record and what we've seen for the last 2.5 years, 2 years and 3 weeks. Like they weren't good enough last year. And early last year, I cautioned that a dead cat bounce could keep the coaching staff around, and it kept a lot of the coaching staff around. They made some changes on the defensive side of the ball, of course, but Zach Taylor's still the head coach. I made that argument last year. And if you wanted to say they should move on from Zach, I'm not putting up like a terribly strong argument, but if you wanted to blame this particular performance on Zach in a game that like they were in position to make into a real football game, and then it got away from them on a single play because Noah Fant fumbled and it was returned for a touchdown. They have 5 fumbles in this game. I don't put fumbles on the head coach. I don't put a tip interception on the head coach. I do put on the head coach the culture and philosophy that they have disregarded the run game to the extent that it looks like it does right now. That I put on Zach and is a compelling reason to me that, like, yeah, go get Joe Brady and Aaron Cromer from Buffalo. Just make the change. Go get those guys and bring in that philosophy where they have fixed that run game in Buffalo. Joe Brady, obviously, great familiarity with Joe Burrow, right? And change culturally, philosophically, the way you approach offensive line evaluation, the way you put together your team, the way you put together your game plans, the way you structure your offense. But I guess, yeah, I don't know. I just really struggle with like laying this game at Zach's feet when they fumbled the ball 5 times and Browning and the offensive line was the offensive line. Like they didn't execute at all. Like how are we? Yeah, I don't know. It comes to the coach's feet at some point, but the players.
That's what I think it is. I think you're getting there. It's come to a head. All of the decisions they've made, all of the shortcomings, all of the same things we've talked about. You got to be able to run the ball better. You got to offensive lines got to figure out. I mean, these are years of complaining. You got to do a little bit more creative stuff, or you got to have more misdirection. Whatever your complaints have been, either founded or unfounded, because people say some crazy things on Sundays. I've been there. They all come to a head when a game like this happens, and all of it looks true. Every single part of it looks true. And the mainstay is Zach Taylor. But bigger picture, if you wanted to go there, if you want to go even further, Duke Tobin and their drafting, right? Mm-hmm. The way the front office and the family runs things, like all of their shortcomings come to a head in this game. Even players like, even if you're like, oh, Ted Karras is getting old, it's true today. If you're like, Orlando Brown Jr. is not that good, it's true today. No matter what you want to say, it is true today because you lost so bad that nothing matters. Like, who could we could say, hey, Chris Jenkins had a sack and a half. That's great. Miles Murphy had a half a sack. Joseph Osai had one. Who cares? Nobody cares about that. Like, great for them. Let's see you do it now for the next 4 weeks so I can change my mind about how I feel about some of these players. But when you lose a game like this, and I wonder if, like, because we can feel it, right? You can see the chat feels it. Everyone feels it. I wonder what the locker room feels right now. I wonder if Zach's tone is going to change, or we've been there before. We'll dig ourselves out of it. I have a lot of faith with the guys in the locker room. You have to say it. I get it. But at the same time, we need to see something change because I think Zach's job is on the line this season, and we have a lot of games to go. But if it doesn't respond the way it did in 2023, which I think went a long way to keeping Zach as the head coach, I think this will be maybe this is day one of the conversation. We're having it, but we've got a long book to read or write, I guess, for the rest of the season.
That's exactly it, right? There's so long to go. And go back to 2023. The Bengals looked like crap in both of the Steelers games Browning played, and they won some other games Browning played. Browning was, I think we talked about it, Browning is a roller coaster of a quarterback. He's going to, at times, make plays, and he's at times going to look like a terrible backup quarterback. I don't think that he doesn't have the physical tools. I don't think that he has like the mental makeup to be a high-end backup, but he's produced in the past, and they found ways to get production out of him in the past in this offense. And maybe the difference this year is that the offensive line in the run game is just going to be so bad that they just don't ever get off the ground. Maybe that's it. like that clip we're looking at, guys getting blown back in the running game. Like, that's terrible. That's what are you doing kind of business. And to everyone's point who wants Zach gone based on the last few years, fine. I'm not arguing necessarily with any of that, but it's that philosophy and approach to offense that gets them in these situations. Now, I will point out that the Browns beat the Packers today. So there's also an any given Sunday element to
And you
this.
don't expect to have 7 potential turnovers in a game. Like, for people to think that this is just who they are now for the rest of the season, because I made comments alluding to that too, like it's going to be a long season. Doesn't have to be. It could be much different next week. It could be very random the rest of the way, because that's how the NFL goes.
The challenge is like, how many games do you get where you do look like this when your opponents in the next few weeks are Denver, who's got one of the better defenses in the NFL, Detroit, who probably will continue to have things sorted as they are still a good team with a good roster, and then the Green Bay Packers, who lost today to the Browns in Cleveland, but you're still dealing with Micah Parsons and a good offense, and you do not have the defense that Cleveland has, which appears to be back on track to being one of the better defenses in the NFL this year, despite what they did against Baltimore last week. And if at that point you have 3 more games that look lopsided like this, even though some of those are going to be against other NFC North opponents, if you get to the point where you're 2-4 and you're looking hapless and you can't run the ball and you can't protect your quarterback, and even if the defense, like, well, they got to stop giving up first drive touchdowns. That's its own problem that we probably need to talk about. But they are adjusting. They are finding ways to start slowing down opposing offenses. And they have found that for a couple of weeks. They came out in the second half and the wheels came off for them too. But with these issues on both sides of the ball, if they do it for 3 more weeks, I mean, then all bets are off. We're going to be talking dead cat bounce again, except this year for the dead cat bounce, you have Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore at the end of November, beginning of December, before they finish the season with Miami, Arizona, Cleveland. So there could be a dead cat bounce there again that we're already talking about here in week 3. But I think that this would need to repeat for a while for this to really be in consideration for the Bengals, despite the last few years, because of the way the Bengals work. I'm ready to hear the arguments to move on at this point. Joe got hurt again. The offensive line is what it is. A lot of things just look too familiar. I don't know. It's just hard for me to overreact too much to one game, despite all of those things.
I agree. I'm with you. And we should talk about the defense a little bit. And I thought it was interesting how the game started off. I never see Ron Torbert again ever, and just not deal with that, because first play I thought
sliding past a man and getting called for a penalty. What are we doing?
First play I thought he got held and he's trying to get off the guy and he ends up hitting him in the face, and they call legal hands to the face on him. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. All right, bad luck. Dex, he slid. He looked like an elite athlete, stalker sliding and popping up around Adam Thielen. And I'm like, whoa, what a play on this screenplay. And they're like, yeah, you went too low into the blocker. No, he didn't. He didn't touch him. And then I wanted to talk about those 2 plays, because they, right from the start, you could feel that right away. Like, oh, is it going to be one of those games? And then it'd be way worse than that. But I saw someone ask, did the defense miss Shamar Stewart? I didn't see that, actually. I thought that for the most part, the back end coverage, from what we could see from what Tony Romo was showing when they did go to the replays, not too often, but when they did, I thought the coverage did a good job in the back half. And all the stunts and games up front that kind of Al Golden has tried to implement started to work and started to get home. And that's how Chris Jenkins got a sack and a half, and Miles Murphy had a half a sack, and they all flashed a little bit, and Osai flashed a little bit. Hendrickson had his flashes. They kept trying to get him over on O'Neal and away from Darisaw, I felt like, but O'Neal's a good player too. They have 2 good tackles. So if you're wondering where Trey was, those are 2 of the best tandem tackles you're going to see all season long. I'd love to have either of those guys, to be honest with you. They're really good. But point being, I thought for the most part, the defense was fine. You're not going to give up 14 points off turnovers, right? There were some big special teams plays also that put them in bad situations. Once we got to like the 3rd quarter and the first drive that the Vikings come off and they rip off like a 15-yarder and a 20-yarder on the ground, I'm like, yeah, that's over. Like, it affects the defense. The offense and their inability to sustain drives or have big plays or put up points has a direct effect on what the defense is. So you can't let it taint your evaluation too much. You kind of have to only evaluate defense in like neutral situations. And then if they make big plays in big moments, great. But otherwise, once the game is too far and away, either way, it's not worth much.
It's pretty hard to just go out there and defend the run when you're like 28 points down or whatever it was at that point, and it looked bad. It has been a problem for them all year though, so you can't really excuse it or hand wave it
True.
away because defending the edge in the run game in particular, like when the running backs can bounce it outside, has been a problem for them all year. It was a problem again today, and that is something that needs to be fixed. I also need to fix this first drive issue. It's been a lot of penalties. Like they've had weird penalties on first drives quite a lot this year, some of which don't feel or look deserved. And then Al started to find some answers. And again, like by the time the coaching staff found their answers, it was a little bit slow to adapt on offense, way too much failure to run on first down. And I get that you're trying to empty your bag on first down and like figure it out in the run game early in this game, because if you don't, then you are relying on Jake Browning, but a little bit too slow to adjust on offense, the first drive issues on defense. And by the time anyone is able to recover from any of that, you have the fumble 6. And again, that single play effectively ends the game. You go down 24-3. And well, they turned it over. They had 3 turnovers in 4 plays.
Right.
Is that the stretch? Like, it's like the Dallas game, right? A few years ago.
Game.
I was thinking the opposite of the Bears game. Remember, like, this is multiple Bears games ago now, when the Bengals swept the NFC North. This might even be Carson Palmer, or maybe it was Andy Dalton's
2009?
first. But they like steamrolled the Bears in that game. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Cedric Benson. No, but I was talking about the Bears game in 2021 where I want to say Burrow threw 3 picks and 2 of them were in a row, and it was like 3 out of 4 plays or something.
Well, and they also had the Dallas game where they fumbled it a bunch. That was the other one.
Yes. I remember that.
That's
that
what
was
I
an
was
old
thinking
game,
of.
right?
No, it was somewhat recent. Burrow era, I think.
Oh, after he got hurt, 2020.
Maybe that was it. Regardless, I don't know. Like, what else can you take away from this game? I think the biggest thing at this point is how do they answer in terms of like long term, right? We're looking at, can they win 8 more games, essentially? Right. Now they need to go 8-8. Is that right? There's that many games? No, 8-7.
Yeah.
8-6. They need to go 8-6 now. Before today it was 8-7 because they were 2-0.
Oh, you're trying to get to 10 wins. I got you.
10 wins. Trying to get to 10 wins. They need to get 8-6 the rest of the way. Need a big answer to keep that possibility alive, because it's, like I said, a tough stretch of games here. And if they look anything like this, anything resembling this, there's no shot. If you're talking about Joe Burrow getting back, you're talking about Zach Taylor remaining on this coaching staff, you're talking about Scott Peters trying to get some continuity and get things fixed with this offensive line that has like the most significant issues potentially of any unit on the football team right now, with all the excitement we had about Scott Peters and the technique sound approach that we were hoping he would bring with him. And the offensive line has just been a huge part of the problem.
It's the most alarming part. It's probably the most underperforming, because I think they actually have talent this time on the offensive line. And it's not, we didn't expect the top 12 offensive line, but we thought top 20, top 16 was definitely feasible, right? So to me, that's the most underperforming unit. I don't know if you have a different one, Jake, but my overall takeaway from this game, my biggest takeaway, is probably a big picture takeaway. And it's, let us not forget the Joe Burrow offense and impact, right? Like you see it right away. We wonder why he's dropping back and just throwing the ball so much. It's because the other parts don't work and they don't look well coached. They don't look well executed, which sometimes is coaching, right? And after 5-6 years of it, it kind of starts to go, it's got to be coaching, because you can't execute a screen to save your life. You can't block, on 3rd and long. You can't run the ball. You can't do a lot of things on offense that you should be able to do for a high functioning offense. And you kind of get reminded pretty quickly that it's because Burrow is very, very, very good. And his receivers are very good. And they drop back and they dice you up with pinpoint accuracy and timing. And why hard mode is such a constant thing in the Burrow offense, because the easy buttons are not there. And they should be there. And they're not. And if that's pushing you closer to, they need to tear down the coaching staff and rebuild. I'm with you. That's my takeaway from the game.
And also perhaps elements of the front office and player acquisition
Yeah.
need to be under heavy fire for the continued approach to building this team. And Zach Taylor obviously is involved with that, right? And he's a part of the reason they're building the team the way they're building it. For those of you entering the hashtag First Star Logistics, keyword in the YouTube chat, we will be giving away those Yeti tailgate packages here in just a couple minutes. We also have our winner from X from Twitter. Again, a reminder to make sure you're following at First Star Log on Twitter for all the details about the giveaways there. And you can enter that once in chat to get that entry here to have your chance to win in the chat. Joe, it's a tough road from here for this team. I think, like I said, the big thing is how they bounce back or don't from this moment. If you start to see, because I was talking to James, we talked about it on Locked On this week, the attitude from the veterans coming into this game, James was impressed. Went out of his way to tell me and talk about how impressed he was with the approach the veterans had. They were fired up for this game. What's that look like after you get punched in the mouth like this for an entire game?
I think that's part of why I'm watching. And I'm going to watch irregardless. But what we watch for is seeing our favorite team and players we've grown to know and care for and want to see succeed, and see them in situations that almost look like you can't climb out of it, right? It looks insurmountable. And we like that. That's sports. That's drama in sports. It's one of the reasons we watch. You got the ball, you're down by 6, and it's 2 minutes left in the game. Like, that's fun. I want to see my team in that situation. And I want to see if they pull it out, of course. This is different. It's, you lost your quarterback. How are you going to respond? Can you do something crazy? Can you Nick Foles this thing? Like, that would be awesome. It's such a rare thing to happen, but you ask any Eagles fan, do they think any less because they didn't have their quarterback for that championship? No, that was awesome, I'm sure, for them. So, like, seeing your team respond to adverse situations is part of the fun. I want to see them respond positively. I don't want to see them turtle up. I don't want to see them just say, we didn't have it today. Now, if they didn't just have it today and they go on runs and beat some of these teams that are coming up on the schedule, you can't beat Bo Nix and the Broncos. You can. That Broncos defense stinks, but like, can you? Sure, do it. That changes my perspective. It's why we're watching, to see something cool.
Yep. And they will have a chance to do it. We'll continue to cover it. We'll continue to see how this thing evolves. Big changes needed, obviously, after a game like this, after escaping 2-0 in the first 2 weeks in games they very well could have lost had the opposition just converted a couple plays they didn't convert, whether it was drops or kicks. But of course, that's why they play the games. That's why it is often very much a week-to-week league. And that's why I'm going to keep repeating myself here. I'm a broken record. If this continues for any more weeks, if you see games like this more often than not the rest of the way, then there's certainly a need to try to find a way to shift the culture, shift the philosophy organizationally.
So you're not getting the pitchforks yet. You're not lighting the torches. Like, can you get them ready? Can I pull them out of the rafters?
Yeah, like start ordering them.
Right.
Go to
where they're at.
pitchfork.com or whatever.
Right.
I don't know if that's a website. Probably shouldn't say that. Amazon.com.
Amazon's got them for sure.
Find your pitchforks and your torches, and maybe like hold off on buying the lighter fluid for a little bit.
Just put them in the cart. You don't have to purchase them yet. Just get them ready.
Like, put it on the wish list, whatever it is. Anyway, we've got some giveaways. I know that's a sensitive word after the way the Bengals gave the ball away today. I'm sorry, but we have
Bengals have some giveaways too. Yeah,
some awesome stuff to give away for you this week, and make sure you're staying tuned for what we've got for you next week. Some more awesome swag to give away. Those baseball Cincy Wade and Will jerseys, a Joe Goodberry specialty that if you follow Joe on socials, you've seen what these look like. They're pretty sweet. But this week, we've got those Yeti tailgate sets to give away. We've got our ex-winner, Joe.
Yes, that's right. We have Lisa Blessing 15. Lisa Blessing 15 on Twitter. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Lisa. Make sure you're checking out the YouTube comments. We'll have a comment down there on how you can get in touch to claim your tailgate set. And we've got our giveaway for one of you in the YouTube chat. We'll get that pulled up on the screen here as if you've entered that hashtag First Star Logistics, you have a chance at this Yeti set. And let's see who the winner is this week. Joe, who we got?
This is my drum roll. Clyde.
Congratulations to Clyde, and make sure you're back with us for the Jake and Joe Bengals preview show. We'll get that to you on Friday morning next week. We've got another post-game show for you. Of course, after that, all season long, we'll keep the giveaways up. We'll keep bringing you the in-the-moment emotional reactions to these games. And once we've had a chance to look at the film, you've got Joe's Bengals on the Brain film review and our preview show, where we are a little bit more removed from the immediate aftermath of what today was an abject disaster and leads to these big picture conversations. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Jake and Joe postgame show presented by First Star Logistics. Make sure you check out firststarlogistics.com if you're looking for work with one of the greatest and fastest growing companies in the Cincinnati area. First Star Logistics looking to expand their team. We love working with them, and you can too. Again, that's firststarlogistics.com. Until next time, thanks for listening to this episode of the Jake and Joe Bengals postgame show.